Good morning, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. Yesterday was quite an amazing day, and I hope today will be just as amazing for all of us in the collaborative spirit we were just talking about. I'm curious about one thing. The summit last year was very exciting. It felt like we had mostly people who were already deeply engaged in AllJoyn, a lot of developers and so forth. I'd love to see if you are writing code and a developer, and that's your primary role, I'd love to see you raise your hand. It's hard to see here. That's impressive. In other words, what I love is that we have a lot of people here that are in roles such as business management, product management this year, far more than last year. That's a lot of what it takes is your interest in getting this type of technology into your solutions and products that go out and market. So I'd love to see that. My company is Affinegy. We are a connected device management software and services company. We're hardware independent. We have primarily large internet service providers and broadband operators, telcos and cable operators around the world. We were founded in 2003, so we've been at this a long time. And we started when Wi-Fi was new. And many of the companies that are in this space have been about provisioning services from the internet, getting stuff installed to deliver internet. We really started with getting individual Wi-Fi devices connected, onboarded, so that you didn't have to know any technology to make that. So we've been about the end user experiences from the beginning. And we jumped into AllJoyn for most of the reasons that Philip just shared in his talk. And the connection to this is, in fact, distributed intelligence is one of the true strengths of AllJoyn itself, in that AllJoyn is a mesh of applications that interact with each other in an M-to-M fashion, and it's more than M-to-M. That's why we say IoT, is people are part of the interaction, but also devices interacting with themselves. For example, with AllJoyn, if you have a stove that has AllJoyn, you have the lights above your stove that have AllJoyn. You can have the stove, you forget to turn off the stove. It can directly interact with the other things, such as put a message on your TV from LG that has an AllJoyn notification. Forgot to turn the stove off after whatever time is built into the algorithm. The lights behind the backstop or the above your stove could be flashing red, for example, that you forgot to do that. So all of that can happen in a distributed fashion where you can put the intelligence in the right place among the components. And in fact, and this is really important in consumer products, you don't have to have a hub. So the app and a connected product is a model that is very common in consumer retail. They work as independent islands. They don't really interact with each other. If you want to interact with someone else, most current products in market, including with AllJoyn, resorted to using a controller. And the controller is what the app interacts with, and even worse, the app may interact with a cloud server and database that interacts with the controller, and then it interacts with the devices, even when you're at home. That's not very fast. So distributed intelligence is a key. But until literally now, if you were going to do that remote app, you do this, including even if you put AllJoyn in your device. Your app is talking to some cloud database, usually with some web HTTP sort of protocol. Your connected product is probably using WebSockets, even if it has AllJoyn in it. And then you get to do mappings of the interface that is command and control and messaging associated with your connected product. And when you're implementing this way, I hate to say it, but AllJoyn becomes the extra protocol, and the protocol that you care about most as the maker of the product is the one that the app uses with your product. It's a shame, it's a waste, because you lose the distributed intelligence in that point unless you do the extra work, and I put it there, of having a controller. So I didn't really mention on the last slide, AllJoyn has the routing nodes, it's a name-based system. It's a beautiful architecture. One of the main things I loved about and why we jumped into AllSeen also is that you can write these algorithms that are distributed intelligence in a way that is independent of everything below it. So the APIs are very clean. You can have ways to bring in other technologies and other physical networks. So we need to do better than this. So we joined AllJoyn Alliance right at the beginning. We have had a lot of interaction with some key people like Shane Dewing at Qualcomm, and We started a project at the beginning called the Gateway Agent, and we started that work literally early in 2014. That was released, I think Greg showed that yesterday, in the spring of 2014, and has been available now for a while. But one of the key things that needs to go with it, and I'll talk about that later in more detail, I have an afternoon session as well. But the Gateway Working Group that I chair is about getting external service connectivity in an open source way with standard interfaces based on AllJoyn, so we don't have to live with the problem we were just saying before. And there's a lot of common key needs in connected products and services and managed services like we'll hear in the panel after my talk. So things such as update service, it's one of the key things. Our team right now is working with another member, Redbend, on an update service project to use standard AllJoyn interfaces so that you can update thin client nodes running AllJoyn without having to put other stacks and other connectivity into them, and of course regular AllJoyn nodes as well for those applications. A very key contribution in our working group from Microsoft is the device system bridge. And using the device system bridge, you can bring in, I did this slide a few months ago and I reused the graphic here. We have Z-Wave and BACnet that Microsoft contributed. They contributed a nice generic interface template as a starting point. AllJoyn Alliance and ULE both have connectors now. They've demonstrated them at IFA in Germany a little while ago, and it was fabulous. The good news is, using the approach we're talking about of doing distributed intelligence, you can reach out to these other things that are more traditional automation interactions between app and device, often in a little controller, and make them AllJoyn appearing to your application layer that you're writing this distributed intelligence that's so powerful. So they become bus attachments AllJoyn as well. So now we've got a way that you can build around AllJoyn, get the benefit of the layering of the abstraction so you're independent of what's below, and build on this ecosystem that we have in the AllSeen Alliance to do that. We have other projects coming. There's a SIP connector that was just proposed a week ago from China, and SIP has a lot of similarity to what I'm going to talk about in a minute. So SIP's very popular in telcos and this sort of technology, so that's a great one that's coming soon. So I'm going to talk about what Affinigy's commercial offering is that supports the open source work we've contributed for the XMPP connector next. Chariot is an AllJoyn native cloud. It's a service offered as a turnkey cloud service. And using this approach, you can stay with the AllJoyn app and the AllJoyn stack that's in your connected product and have experiences that are remote. We provide two options of this service that really relates to the pricing. I mean, our pricing model is very simple. It's really essentially based on how many devices you connect, and it's the ones that connect directly to our cloud service. You don't have to, we don't count all the other AllJoyn things that aren't directly connected to the cloud service. So with Chariot Connect, that's kind of the equivalent of app and single device, because all you're interested in is the functions of the device that you sold. Chariot Direct is essentially making your app think it's still at home. So all the AllJoyn interactions are essentially tunneled out to the remote device. And an exciting, interesting use of this is you could have two houses bridged together using this service, and they would think that it was all joined together. So you could use it with a vacation home, for example, is a nice way to do that. So some of the key features, and this service was just announced yesterday. It's been in a preview invite-only mode for about 3 months, and we're really excited that it's now available. You can go to our website. I'll talk about that more in a minute. It provides private and secure AllJoyn anywhere. So one of the true benefits we've heard a lot about AllJoyn is that it's able to do a lot of things locally, where you don't have to have the app talk outside or the product talk outside just to use it. So you can keep fast local interactions, very low latency, instant response, all these sorts of things. What we're doing is providing a securely authenticated service where you're tunneling those AllJoyn messages. If you turn on your lights with your app, the default behavior is no one else in the world knows that happened. No database knows it. It's all encrypted. It's in layered security using Very efficient TLS security at the XMPP level, and you didn't have to have that message known to anyone else. It's encrypted actually twice. It's got AllJoyn security, and then it's got XMPP security layered on top of that. Instant and real time, literally instant. We were demonstrating from IFA in Berlin to our lab in Austin, and it's about 100 millisecond latency for that control remotely, even across the Atlantic Ocean. I love how fiber works these days. It's amazing how the wide area network is from when I was younger, which it was not like that. So the focus of who would use this service is first and foremost connected products companies. And then I think, in reality, a lot of the companies that care most about interoperability, multi-vendor, are those that are managed services of various sorts. And that can range from, of course, internet service providers, but it also can include companies that are doing things like Howden's does with smart kitchens, or things of that nature, where you're integrating together an experience for your users, like the real-world experiences we heard from him yesterday. With our developer support program for Chariot, we are, of course, providing free access for developers, and that free access includes launching your product, and we'll have published soon the details of what the prices are and what threshold you have to get to before you have to pay for it. But fundamentally, you can try your Kickstarter project, or if you're a department in a large company and you'd like to try the technology, you can just do it. You don't have to call us, you don't have to talk to us. You can if you want. We love talking to people, but this is completely self-service. You can come to chariot.global as the website for our developer portal for the access for the service. We have all the tools you need there as developers, and also tools to manage your project. So there's a portal that is a combination of kind of a developer tools portal as you have a new project, and then as you launch your project, you can see how many of your products are in market. You can see how many users are using each of your product, and that sets the threshold. Once you go over a certain level, that's when you start having to pay for the service. So you can convert to commercial as the volume grows right there. We are mirroring the AllJoyn repositories for everything you need that is used in this. So that allows us to more smoothly integrate some of the things we have in our full environment that are not open source. But typically, if it's embedded, it doesn't cost anything from us either. We just have a few things that go with our solution that are also available as commercial code. But they're all available there to use, and it's clean, which they are, so you don't have to worry about getting confused on that as well. Mostly the mobile side we haven't open sourced. Pretty much everything we do on the embedded side is open source. But the stuff on the mobile side that you need as libraries, we don't typically charge for as well. Actually, I want to go back and talk a little bit more about the mobile side for a minute. We have a very interesting developer app we call Chariot Join. And Chariot Join allows you to take anything you've written in AllJoyn as a mobile app. You launch the Join app, it lets you log into the Chariot cloud, and it uses the AllJoyn bus in the mobile device, so it will communicate through our cloud service. So you can take any app, and we're demonstrating the lighting service framework app here with LifeX bulbs remotely, and that's what we were doing in IFA in Berlin as well. So you can begin using the service, test how it works, see if you like it without even changing a line of code. And the next piece is when you have the real product that you want to deploy, the lines of code you're changing are amazingly simple. You're basically using, for example, AllJoyn onboarding service. You probably already want your customer to register their app with you with some sort of login ID. You just use that same log ID and do the onboarding feature of the Chariot XMPP service, and then magically, voila, you've got a remote access app all using AllJoyn. You don't have to map any interfaces. And by the way, the mapping interfaces isn't so bad when it's just one product. But if you want to do mapping all the interfaces, like we heard yesterday, there's 16 interfaces already from the HAE project. You don't really want to have to map every interface there is in AllJoyn to get through something like REST, for example, unless you have other good reasons to do it. I mean, there may be use cases where you want to do that. But the final piece of this is we're using virtualization to build AllJoyn server applications. So In other words, how do you do telemetry? How do you do analytics? How do you do reporting? Very simple. You just join in the party as AllJoyn in the cloud itself. Now that's integral in our service. We're not currently open sourcing things we're doing in virtualization in the cloud, but any of you that are using AllJoyn, think about it. It's a really good way to do things. So for more information, we have the in the AllSeen Alliance, the Gateway Working Group. This is the connector project URL that's up there. So like most things that are the technical developer things, wiki.allseenalliance.org, and then we've got /gateway/xmppcon. From that point, you can get links to all the documentation, the details about how that connector works. Also associated with that is the gateway agent, and I didn't talk much about the gateway agent here. I've got another slot later this afternoon that if you come, I actually plan to focus on the gateway agent quite a bit in that talk. The key thing about the gateway agent, I'll briefly mention here, is we should name it something else because people immediately think it goes in an internet gateway or a router. Well, it can go there, but in reality, to help with the distributed nature of what you, especially if your consumer products focused, if you can leave the networking stacks on in your product, it is use this code, the gateway agent, instead of a routing node if you want an external connection to it. And then it can become like a hub. So think of things like a thermostat. Probably devices like toaster ovens would fit in this category also. It really depends on the regulation environment with respect to things like Energy Star. So smart TVs, sadly, it's tough. We've done some projects trying to work on Wake on Wi-Fi with TV vendors, and it's hard to use the TV as something like the automation hub function. But there are lots of products that you sell that you could very easily, it's not that much power anyway these days to have the networking stack, the Wi-Fi running. And if you need an AllJoyn routing node, the gateway agent is an AllJoyn routing node. It just happens to also have routing rules you can manage for the external connection so that you can enhance the privacy of the external connection while it's staying AllJoyn going out the external interface. So I don't know if we have a questions mechanism here, but I'll throw it out for the audience for any questions. And I really can't see. I need sunglasses. Yes?
So this whole system is about transporting it without putting in a database. Is there also a possibility to actually do put things in the database in the cloud, or is it all about just transporting it to an external location?
So our approach for getting into the databases in the cloud is to use AllJoyn as the mechanism to provide the messages to your applications in the server that will be interacting with your databases. We have a full network management platform for Wi-Fi connected devices we've had in market for several years. And so we're actually converging the database of we automatically identify what all the Wi-Fi devices are and so forth. So we're adding, and we don't currently have this release, but we're adding get all the AllJoyn devices into that same converged database. But the key thing with the proper practices for privacy policies, and both either we do it commercially or governments tell us to, is the user is part of deciding if you have that, and you of course have to have unexpected use notifications, all the things. The nice thing about AllJoyn is it's naturally private to begin with if you do it this way. And then you can have the user, when they sign up, for what benefit do they get for having that information in the database. So it just makes it easier using this approach to sort of naturally do the right thing that is consistent with privacy policies that we all feel are highly important. Anything else? Yes?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to ask you about the AllPlay app and if that's like a good solution that can work with Chariot, or if other apps might also work as well.
We haven't tested AllPlay yet in Chariot. I have a feeling there'll be a couple things we have to do in testing. It fundamentally should mostly work. One of the things about AllPlay is there's a lot of messages going on between devices. And so I'm not going to say yes, it works right now. But that's a very interesting topic, and I'd love to talk more about doing that because I think that's a great solution as well.
Time for maybe one more?
All right, thank you very much.